Hey everyone, привет! I just wanted to start this video off by saying that I'm going to be talking about my Russian resources, obviously, due to the title of the video. But I am still studying Chinese, so for those of you who are wondering if I just stopped, I did not. I am continuing with Chinese. In fact, this summer I'm going to be studying, 3 times a week with it. So don't worry, the Chinese videos I'm sure are going to be coming back. And for now, I want to kind of talk about my return to some of the other languages that I used to study in the past. So enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I would like to talk to you guys about me jumping back into Russian this last year. I studied Russian for only a semester, I think it was, in college, and then I realized I was taking too many credits, and I stopped with it, and I haven't seen it since probably 2013 or so. But then this year, I decided that I wanted to go back into Russian. I had kind of been dabbling with Duolingo a little bit, and when I was in college, I was in the textbook Galasa, but I wanted something a little bit more updated. So then I started looking for Russian textbooks and looking on YouTube for all the best possible textbooks that I could use. And I ended up buying, I decided to just get some of the best ones that were recommended and then return whichever ones I didn't like. So then we have Tochka Ru, and I have the workbook for that one too. And then I also got Poekhali. Oh, hello. And the workbook for that one too. Wait, did I screw that up? No, this is the workbook. Okay. And then I also got Sputnik and the workbook for that too. And then I have, just a typical dictionary, and I have a Russian course. This one is pretty dry, but I just, I saw all the best reviews that I could find, and I got all of those books. And spoiler alert, I decided to not return the books because I thought, it would make a pretty interesting YouTube video to just try to go through all of the books for you guys and then let you know what I thought of each and every one of them. So the first one I'm going to be looking at today is, I think, Tochka Ru. Let's do Tochka Ru. This is the A1 book here, and this is the workbook. And I wrote down for Tochka Ru that there is some English in here, but most of it is in Russian, which I really honestly like. A monolingual textbook is pretty nice if you have a tutor that can help you out when you're like very much just beginning, which I do. I have a tutor on italki who's been going through this book with me, which is really nice. But I think that you could, do this book alone. There's just enough English where I think you could probably get by with it. And they start you off with some cognates, actually a lot of cognates in the first couple of chapters. One thing that I wrote down that I didn't really like about it is that it doesn't specifically teach you how to write in cursive or like handwriting, because handwriting is a little bit different than the printed version. For example, like the L looks like up, down instead of like the printed shape, just kind of like in English. Like we don't write the G's, for example, in English as you would, see them typed out. So learning handwriting specifically, I had to look a little bit in other sources. I looked on YouTube, and I also looked just at like cursive handwriting, like general sheets for the entire alphabet. And then I learned a little bit more through actually the Sputnik textbook, which I will talk about later. Another thing that I liked about it is that in the workbook here, I'll show you guys, they have regular workbook pages, and then they have at the end of the workbook pages for each unit, they have a section where you can fill in all of the vocabulary, and I found that to be really helpful. I like to have it all written down in one spot, and so that was really nice to be able to have that resource. Oh, there's Koshka. Okay. So anyway, that's the general gist of it. There's a little bit of English, but it's mainly a monolingual textbook, and they have the textbook and the workbook. If you get them on Amazon, I have it for $86. So I thought the price range was, decent for the quality, honestly. Um, and that's what, the textbook and the workbook. So I feel like I don't know, I feel like that's worth it. And then for the levels that they cover, I looked it up and it's A1 through B2 of their 4 workbooks and textbooks. And it looks like they do have a workbook and a textbook for each level, which isn't true for Poekhali, which is another textbook that I'm going to talk about. So honestly, this one you can remember as it goes the furthest through the CEFR system. So it goes through, A1 through B2 for Tochka Ru. Another thing that I wanted to say about Tochka Ru is that they have a really intuitive format that I like. There's a lot of pictures. It's pretty self-explanatory for the activities, as you can see here with all the pictures of the different places, and you're just kind of matching them up. Then even for the grammar, they have like a masculine, feminine, neutral. And they're kind of showing you like little warning sign for the ones that aren't regular. And things like that. So I feel like it's a pretty self-intuitive system, and that's something that I really enjoy about Tochka Ru, as well as the Poekhali series. They're just really, like I said, very intuitive. You can just kind of learn on your own, especially if you are used to learning other languages. If you've never learned another language before, then I wouldn't recommend to you the Tochka Ru unless you have a tutor on italki or something like that. But honestly, it's so doable with a tutor on italki. And if you have the means, italki is one of the cheapest formats, I think, for language learning. And if you only set one up for, once a week or once every 2 weeks or once a month, depending on, how much you want to go for it, I think it could be a really good option. So I'm really enjoying doing the italki tutor with Tochka Ru in this series. The next book I'm going to talk about is Poekhali, and this is the first book here, the 1.1. And then I also have the workbook, which looks extremely similar. It's just like a less bright blue color. And this is what the inside pages of the workbook are black and white. The inside of the textbook pages are really colorful and lots of pictures. Very similar to the same structure of Tochka Ru. But Poekhali, I really, honestly, I love it. It's one of my top contenders. This one and Poekhali and Tochka Ru are both really awesome because they have lots of pictures. They have a beautiful layout, a really intuitive format that I liked. And once you get into like lesson 3 or 4, they start having verb conjugations, which is really nice. They both start out with very cognate heavy, just kind of like learning the sounds with words that you can easily understand. And then one thing that I really liked about Poekhali is that they have free audio files, which Tochka Ru also has free audio files. I think I forgot to mention that. With Tochka Ru, you can just go on to their website and they have free audio files on there that I just access on my phone. And that's super easy and convenient. But Poekhali, I feel like takes it a little bit one step further because they have QR codes that you can just scan with your phone. So every time you're doing an exercise, it's pretty easy to just bring up your camera and scan it. And then all of a sudden you have the audio file right there. And yes, both are super convenient. And I love both of those books for that reason. Sputnik also has free audio files. So I guess they're all awesome in that way, at least the first 3 textbooks that I'm going to talk about. To keep in mind, Poekhali is 100% monolingual. So if you haven't learned another language before, I would not recommend this book without a tutor. I self-studied the first 8 lessons by myself with Poekhali. And I found that it was totally doable, super intuitive, but then when the grammar starts to get a little bit harder, it might be worth having a tutor or something. So what I did was I hopped into a local Russian class that they started out with lesson like 9 and went, 8 chapters further. So I kind of found out where they were going to pick up with in the next class, and I just jumped into the next class. So I've taken one class with them for the Poekhali book, and I'm planning on doing another 8 lessons over the summer by myself, and then hopping back into another one of their classes in the fall, because I really did enjoy their classes a lot. And so, look into some local lessons. Usually the university is extremely expensive and out of my budget. But, local teachers, local learning facilities, maybe like community learning classes and things like that, sometimes have cheaper prices, and to you it might be worth it. And if it's still too expensive, I would highly recommend, like I said, just go to italki and get yourself a tutor. You have basically the exact same thing. Honestly, they're pretty similar. Having an italki tutor or being in a class, like a community class, for me, it's about the same thing. We go through about just as much content, depending on how much you want to push yourself or not, so yeah. What else did I write here? We have, for the textbook, it was $54, and for the workbook, it was $54. So that it comes to $108 for the Poekhali series if you're just gonna get one textbook and one workbook. Yeah, $108. So that's kind of pricey, but you know what? Like, they have such nice magazine type feel pages, and the program is so well structured. I feel like it could be worth it. I don't know. I really like it. And then for Poekhali, I also wrote down that they have 4 books. They have 1.1, 1.2, and then they have 2.1 and 2.2. Something that I noticed for the books, though, it says that the level 2 books are geared toward the A2 level. So even after 4 of the Poekhali books, it looks like you're getting to, and don't quote me on it, but I looked it up online, and this is what I found. I found that they get you through the A2 level. So for me, compared with Tochka Ru, which gets you up through B1, I think it was, or B2. It gets you up through B2 in Tochka Ru and through A2 in Poekhali. So I feel like for it being a more expensive book, the fact that it gets you up to a lesser level of CEFR could maybe be a con. But the program is so awesome, honestly, that maybe you could just find another book to continue with or something after it. Because I really do love Poekhali. What else did I write here? There's no workbook for the 2.1 and 2.2. So like the third and the fourth book of this, if you will. They do not have a workbook for those. So that is something to keep in mind as well, whereas Tochka Ru does have workbooks for both of those. And then, yeah, I think that's about it for Poekhali. I've really been enjoying the program. Like I said, I've been kind of half studying on my own and then half with the class. So I think it's a really awesome resource, and I would highly recommend Poekhali to anyone who wants to learn Russian and they're just starting out, whether with a tutor or with a community class. The next one I'm going to talk about is Sputnik. Okay, so Sputnik here is the textbook. You can kind of see how thick that one is. And then I also have the workbook. The workbook, something I noticed right away was, oh my goodness, it is extremely, like, can you guys see that? It's so thin. The workbook is not gigantic. So the pros that I have, though, are I think that you could self-study with this one a little bit easier. It goes, I think, pretty much at a snail's pace. It's pretty slow from what I've seen so far, although I haven't worked through, too much of it. I'm only on page 35, so to be fair, I have gotten a little bit farther with the other books. But that's also because I've been enjoying them a little bit more. I don't know, there's just something about the layout of the other books that I really like, but Sputnik is also pretty cool. It just leads you through slower, and so maybe if you really want to concentrate on the sounds, then that would be a good option for you. Also, this is a really big plus of Sputnik that the other books do not have, is that it teaches you how to write in cursive. So it has practices. Let me see if I can find an exercise for you here where they're teaching you cursive. So it's pretty cool, I think, to be able to write in Russian cursive and to just have a better idea of how the letters connect and everything, because yes, you can just get a sheet that shows you all of the cursive, But for example, the L and the M have like a special hook at the beginning that you have to do, and if you don't do it, you're not going to be able to tell them apart from other letters. So that's I think it has a lot of really good information about the writing system in there that could really help a beginning learner. Um, the alphabet practice I wrote was good, and the notes were really helpful. There is also free audio files, so you can go onto their website and access the free audio files. They're just as good as Poekhali or Tochka Ru. They have, I would say, a lot more emphasis in these in the Sputnik book here. They have a lot more emphasis on pronunciation and particularly inflection in sentences and questions. They will kind of drill you, and they have even like markers of how the tonation goes up and down to sound like a more native speaker, like a natural speaker when you're asking questions or saying statements. So yeah, there has a heavy emphasis on writing and pronunciation for Sputnik. There are also a couple of pages I wrote down here that are focusing on the history or the culture. They're kind of few and far between, but let me see if I can find one here. They're usually at the end. Oh, here they have like a recap of the vocabulary, and you don't have to write it in. That's kind of nice. It's already like Russian to English. And then they have like a little blurb here, a little article about professions and gender, or they had another one I think about like the writing system. So that's pretty neat that they give you some more cultural notes in the Sputnik books. What else here? Let's talk about the price. For Sputnik, I got the textbook for $33 and I got the workbook for $32. So I don't know. In general, I mean, these books are ranging around, for a set around $60 to like $100. So I think they're within the same realm, but Sputnik, I think, I believe was the cheapest. Can't remember how much the other one. Yeah, that was the cheapest option, I believe. Was the Sputnik, but like I say, it goes at a slower pace. It depends on what you want to, what are your goals. Let's see. There's a lot of English explanation in Sputnik. So if you are really wanting a lot more English in your textbook and you want to be a self-learner and you don't want a tutor and you haven't studied another language before, then maybe Sputnik is the best for you, I think, because it would be easier with like all of the English explanations. It's pretty heavy on those. And there is a part 1 and a part 2 of Sputnik, but that's as far as it brings you. And it says that you'll be A1 at the end of 2 books. So, if you're looking for a slower paced beginner's book that gets you through A2, and you can say a couple of things, then I think that would be a good book for you. And there's also interactive online exercises with Sputnik, which is also a plus. In general, though, I think if I had to do everything again, I don't know. Honestly, this was so useful for the writing system to learn like the ins and outs of like how to connect letters, because I could figure out from the cursive. I could just print out the cursive sheet from online, but trying to figure out how they connect, Sputnik was really useful for that. Other than that, though, I feel like I could have done without Sputnik. I'll still continue with it because I want to be able to give you guys another video where it's like my end thoughts instead of, this is kind of just my beginning thoughts. I'm about in the middle of a lot of these books. So I'll kind of come back to you guys and loop back in with you and see, what I was thinking after all of these. But for now, I would say that my top picks are probably Poekhali and Tochka Ru. I also wanted to talk about this one. I have not gone very far in it because it is very dry. But I have also heard that the reviews are, I read through some of the reviews and people said, although it is very dry, it is really accurate, or people really liked that there was, it's very dense, but it has a lot of information for you. And I think there are some amount of exercises and answers in the back. I honestly haven't done a whole lot with it. It's very dry. It's very much like, here's how you pronounce things. okay, here's a bunch of vocabulary, like now try to figure this out kind of thing. Like, I mean, this is not very interactive. I think it's kind of like a nice reference book. I think that's how I'll end up using it. I've kind of been reading through it as I go through the other books and connecting. It helps me like connect the dots, or just to review what I've already learned in like a very concise way. But if I had learned only from that book, I think it would have been too cut and dry, not enough exercises for me. Just not interesting enough to maybe hold my attention. But it's a good reference book. I think it's nice to have on your shelf. The other thing that I got myself is a Russian dictionary, and it's been useful just with the books like Poekhali or like Tochka Ru. If I want to look up a word here or there and I don't have my tutor with me, that way I don't have to wait for my tutor every single time I don't know a word. I just got a pretty basic one. I don't know if there's any like nicer, bigger Russian dictionaries. And if you guys know of any online Russian dictionaries, apps, I downloaded one, but I'm not really fond of it. I feel like yeah, I'll have to go into that in another time. But the Russian, I could not find a really great Russian online app dictionary. So let me know if you have one. That's about it for now. I've really been enjoying Russian, and I have a friend who's also learning Russian, and so we are able to kind of chat with each other about things that are easy, things that are tough, strategies that we use in things. And I've really been enjoying the class too, just to get to know other learners as well. So if you're learning Russian, let me know how you're learning, and do you have a textbook that you guys like? That I haven't shown here, or are there other things that you liked about the books that maybe I forgot to mention? I'm sure I have things that I forgot to mention. And if you're wondering about Chinese, am I still going on with Chinese? Yes, I am. In fact, this summer I'm meeting up with my friend 3 times a week, 2 hours each, and we're going through the Integrated Chinese 3 textbook right now. I'm still trying to tackle that. I'm about halfway through. But I'll hopefully have more videos about Chinese in the future. For now, I hope you enjoyed my Russian video, and we'll see you next time. Пока-пока.